You know what's funny about marriage? You think you know someone until they show you exactly who they are when money gets tight. 2 weeks ago, I made the mistake of asking my wife a simple question about our credit card statement. $847 in 1 month. All at trendy restaurants, boutique stores, and that new rooftop bar downtown where her friends like to pretend they're living in a music video. I wasn't even angry when I brought it up. I sat down with the statement on a Sunday morning, coffee in hand, and said, "Hey, can we talk about this?" We agreed we were saving for the house repairs, and I'm seeing some pretty big charges here. Simple enough, right? Wrong. She looked at me like I'd just asked her to explain quantum physics. Then came the explosion. Are you seriously going to micromanage every dollar I spend? I work too, you know. I deserve to have fun with my friends. You're being controlling, and honestly, it's not attractive. Controlling. For asking about nearly $900 in restaurant bills and shopping sprees while we've got a leaky roof and a car payment due. But sure, I'm the problem. That was the moment she decided I didn't exist anymore. And I mean that literally. For 2 solid weeks, I became a ghost in my own house. She'd wake up, get ready for work, and walk past me like I was furniture. If I said good morning, I'd get a grunt if I was lucky. Dinner time? She'd heat up something for herself and eat it while scrolling through her phone, posting pictures of her latest purchases with captions like, "treating myself because I deserve it." The silent treatment isn't new for her, but this time felt different. More calculated. She was making a point, and that point was clear. Question her spending, and you get frozen out until you apologize and hand over the credit cards. But here's what she didn't expect. I stopped trying to break the ice. No more "how was your day?" No more attempts at conversation. Two can play that game, and I've got more patience than she thinks. The real kicker came last Tuesday when I overheard her on the phone with her mother, planning this elaborate birthday dinner. Yeah, I made reservations at that new steakhouse downtown, the one with the private dining room. I invited everyone, you, Dad, my brother and his wife, the cousins. It's going to be perfect. Notice what was missing from that conversation. Any mention of her husband, the guy who'd be expected to pick up the tab for this perfect celebration. She planned an entire birthday party and didn't even pretend I existed, let alone ask if I wanted to be there. The restaurant she picked? I looked it up. Dinner for 15 people at that place runs about $60 per person minimum, plus drinks, plus tip. We're talking close to $1,000 for one night, right after she'd already blown through $800 the month before. But apparently, questioning this makes me controlling. Thursday night, she finally spoke to me directly for the first time in 13 days. "My birthday dinner is Saturday at 7. Try not to embarrass me." Then she walked away before I could respond. Try not to embarrass her. After 2 weeks of treating me like I didn't deserve basic human decency in my own house, she had the nerve to talk about embarrassment. That's when I made my decision. Saturday afternoon, while she was getting ready upstairs, I grabbed my keys and left. No explanation, no argument, no drama. I drove to the sports bar across town, ordered a burger and a beer, and watched the game. For the first time in 2 weeks, I felt peaceful. My phone stayed silent until 7:30. Then it started ringing. And that's when things got really interesting. The first call went to voicemail. I was halfway through my burger when the second one came in. This time I answered, "Where the hell are you?" Her voice was sharp, but I could hear something else underneath it. "Panic. I'm having dinner," I said calmly, taking another bite. "What do you mean you're having dinner? You're supposed to be here. Everyone's asking where you are." I could hear voices in the background, the clinking of glasses, the sound of a busy restaurant. Her perfect birthday dinner was happening without the guy footing the bill. "Well, that's interesting," I said, "because for the past 2 weeks, you've made it pretty clear that I don't exist. So I figured I'd save everyone the trouble and just not exist somewhere else tonight. This is not the time for your petty games. Get down here right now." Petty games. After 14 days of silence, cold shoulders, and being treated like a walking ATM, she thought this was about games. "You know what's funny?" I said, watching the basketball game on the screen above the bar. 2 weeks ago, when I asked about $800 in charges, you told me I was controlling. Said you deserve to have fun. Well, guess what? I deserve to have fun too. And tonight, my fun doesn't include celebrating someone who doesn't celebrate me. The line went quiet for a moment. I could hear her moving, probably stepping away from the table. "Everyone is staring at me," she hissed. "My whole family is here asking questions. You're making me look like an idiot." I'm not making you look like anything. You planned this whole dinner without including me in any conversation about it. You invited 15 people to an expensive restaurant and just assumed I'd show up to pay for it. After 2 weeks of pretending I don't exist, you made your choice. Fine, she said, her voice getting louder. If you want to be childish and ruin my birthday, that's on you. But don't expect me to forget this. I don't expect you to forget anything. I expect you to explain to your family why your husband isn't at your birthday dinner. Should be interesting. And I hung up. My phone buzzed with 3 text messages in rapid succession. You're being ridiculous. Everyone thinks something's wrong with us. Just come down here and we'll talk later. I turned my phone face down and ordered another beer. The thing is, I could picture exactly what was happening at that table. Her parents, confused about where I was. Her brother asking questions. The cousins whispering. Her trying to come up with some excuse that didn't make her look bad, while also not admitting she'd been giving me the silent treatment for 2 weeks. Around 8:15, my phone rang again. Different number this time. Hello. Hey, it's me. Her brother's voice. Look, she asked me to call you. Says you had some kind of fight? The whole table's feeling awkward here, man. Her mom keeps asking if you're sick or something. I had to respect the guy for trying. He was always decent to me, never got involved in our drama. We didn't have a fight, I told him. We haven't spoken in 2 weeks. She decided I didn't deserve basic conversation in my own house, so I decided she didn't deserve my presence at her party. 2 weeks. Seriously, 2 weeks of complete silence because I asked about her credit card bill. You tell me, does that sound reasonable to you? He was quiet for a minute. Man, that's not normal. No, it's not. So when she tells everyone I'm sick or had to work late or whatever story she's spinning, just remember that conversation. After I hung up, I realized something had shifted. For 2 weeks, I'd been the bad guy in her story, the controlling husband who dared to question her spending. But now, with her family sitting around that table asking where I was, she had to actually explain her behavior. And that explanation was going to be very interesting. My phone stayed quiet for the rest of the night. When I got home around 10, her car wasn't in the driveway. She didn't come home until after midnight, and when she did, she went straight upstairs without saying a word. The silent treatment was back, but this time, it felt different. This time, she wasn't punishing me. She was avoiding me, and that meant I was winning. Sunday morning came with a phone call at 9 a.m. I was making coffee when I saw her mother's name on the screen. Good morning, I answered, genuinely glad to hear from her. We'd always gotten along well. Hi, honey, how are you feeling? Her voice had that careful tone people use when they're fishing for information. I'm feeling great, actually. How are you? Well, I'm a little concerned. Last night was unusual. She said you weren't feeling well, but you sounded fine when her brother called you. Smart woman. She knew something wasn't adding up. I felt perfectly fine yesterday, I said. I was at Murphy's Sports Bar having dinner and watching the game. Had a great time, actually. Long pause. Oh, so you weren't sick? Not at all. Why would she say that? Another pause. I could practically hear the gears turning. She said you had come down with something sudden and couldn't make it. But honestly, the whole evening felt strange. She seemed on edge, kept checking her phone, and when people asked about you, she got defensive. Here was my moment. I could either protect her lies or tell the truth. 2 weeks ago, I might have covered for her. But 2 weeks of silent treatment had a way of clarifying things. Can I be completely honest with you? I asked. Please do. We haven't spoken in 2 weeks. Not a single conversation. I asked her about some large charges on our credit card, and she decided to punish me with complete silence. She planned that entire dinner without saying a word to me about it. I found out by overhearing her on the phone with you. The silence stretched so long I thought the call had dropped. 2 weeks, she finally said. Over a conversation about money, $847 in 1 month. Restaurants, shopping, bars with her friends. We're supposed to be saving for house repairs, and I thought we should at least discuss it. Apparently, that made me controlling. Oh, honey, she said, and I could hear the disappointment in her voice. That's not how marriage works. No, it's not. But when I tried to have an adult conversation about our finances, she exploded and then froze me out completely. So when she expected me to show up and pay for a $1,000 birthday dinner after 2 weeks of treating me like I didn't exist, I decided to pass. $8,000? Her voice went up. For one dinner? That place runs about $60 per person minimum, plus drinks and tip. 15 people. You do the math. I heard her take a deep breath. I had no idea it was that expensive. She just said she wanted to take the family somewhere nice. If I'd known. It's not about the money itself, I said. It's about respect. She spent $800 without discussing it, then gave me the silent treatment when I brought it up, then planned an expensive party and assumed I'd just show up and pay for it, all while treating me like I was invisible in my own house. This explains so much about last night, she said quietly. She was so tense, and when your brother-in-law asked if everything was okay between you two, she practically snapped his head off. What did she tell everyone when they asked where I was? First, she said you were sick. Then when people kept asking, she said you had to work. Then she said you had a headache. The story kept changing, and everyone noticed. That made me smile. I bet they did. Honey, I'm sorry. I raised her better than this. This silent treatment business, her father and I never modeled that kind of behavior. That's not how you handle disagreements in a marriage. I appreciate that, I said. And I want you to know, I've never wanted to put you in the middle of our problems. But I'm not going to pretend everything's fine when it's not. Good for you, she said firmly. You shouldn't have to. And frankly, I'm embarrassed that she put everyone in that position last night. The whole table could feel the tension. After we hung up, I felt lighter somehow. For 2 weeks, I'd been questioning whether I was overreacting. But hearing it from someone else's perspective confirmed what I already knew. This wasn't normal, and it wasn't okay. Around noon, I heard her car pull into the driveway. She came in through the front door, saw me reading on the couch, and headed straight for the stairs. Your mother called, I said without looking up from my book. She stopped. What did you tell her? The truth. What truth? I looked up at her then. That we haven't spoken in 2 weeks because you decided to punish me for asking about your credit card charges. That you planned a $1,000 dinner without including me in any conversation about it. That you lied to your entire family about why I wasn't there. Her face went through several different expressions. Anger, panic, and finally something that looked like fear. You had no right to drag my family into our business. I didn't drag anyone anywhere. Your mother called because she was concerned about the obvious tension at your party. She asked direct questions, and I gave her honest answers. You're trying to turn my family against me. I'm not trying to do anything except live in peace in my own house. But if you want to keep playing games, you should know that other people are starting to notice. She opened her mouth to respond, then closed it. For the first time in 2 weeks, she looked uncertain. And that's when I knew the power dynamic had officially shifted. Tuesday afternoon, I was working from home when my brother-in-law called. He never calls during work hours unless something's up. Hey man, weird question, he said. Did my sister ask you for money recently? No. What? She called yesterday asking if we could lend her $1,500. Said it was for an emergency, something about the car needing repairs. But when I asked for details, she got vague and defensive. I sat back in my chair. What kind of vague? Wouldn't say what was wrong with the car, wouldn't say which shop she was taking it to. Just kept saying she needed the money fast. When I suggested she use your insurance or that you guys could probably handle a car repair, she got weird about it. This was interesting. What did you tell her? I told her I'd need to talk to my wife first, and that we'd want to see an estimate from the mechanic. She hung up pretty quickly after that. I pulled up our bank account on my laptop. No car repairs. No emergency expenses. But there was something else. A pending charge for $430 at some boutique downtown. Yesterday's date. There's no car emergency, I told him. But there is a $400 shopping charge from yesterday. Seriously? She lied about needing money for car repairs to go shopping. Looks that way. And here's the thing. She hasn't spoken to me in over 2 weeks, so she couldn't exactly ask me for money. Wait, you're still not talking? I thought that birthday dinner thing was just a misunderstanding. Nope. Still getting the silent treatment. But apparently, she's comfortable enough to rack up charges on our joint account while asking your family for cash. He was quiet for a moment. Dude, this is getting weird. Mom called me after she talked to you Sunday. She's really concerned about how my sister's handling things. What did she say? That the silent treatment stuff reminded her of how my sister acted as a teenager when she didn't get her way. Mom said she thought my sister had grown out of that behavior. Apparently not. Look, I don't usually get involved in you guys' business, but this doesn't feel normal. The lying about money, the silent treatment, trying to get cash from family members. It's like she's spiraling. Or she's just showing her true colors when she doesn't get her way. Maybe. Either way, I thought you should know about the money thing. And just so you know, I'm not lending her anything without talking to you first. After we hung up, I realized her world was getting smaller. Her mother was asking questions. Her brother was fact-checking her stories. And she was running out of people to manipulate. Wednesday evening, she broke her silence for the second time in 3 weeks. "We need to talk," she said, standing in the kitchen doorway while I made dinner. "About what?" "About this ridiculous situation you've created." I turned around to face her. "I created?" "Yes. You've turned my entire family against me over nothing. My mother barely spoke to me when I called today, and my brother is asking invasive questions about our finances. Maybe because you lied to him about needing money for car repairs when you were actually going shopping?" Her face flushed. "How did you?" "He called me. Apparently, when you ask family members for $1,500 for fake emergencies, they start comparing notes. It wasn't fake. I needed that money." "For what?" "The $400 shopping spree you charged to our account." She crossed her arms. "I don't have to justify my purchases to you. Actually, when you're lying to your family about car emergencies to fund those purchases, you kind of do. This is exactly what I'm talking about. You're controlling and obsessive about money, and you're dishonest and manipulative about money. See how this works?" She stared at me for a long moment. "Fine. You want to know why I needed that money? Because I'm tired of having to ask permission for every little thing. I'm tired of walking on eggshells around your budget obsession." "Walking on eggshells? You haven't spoken to me in 3 weeks. How exactly have you been walking on eggshells?" "Before that, before you started monitoring every purchase." "Monitoring?" "I asked about one credit card statement. $800 in 1 month. That's not monitoring. That's basic financial awareness." "Whatever. The point is, I shouldn't have to justify wanting nice things to my own husband. And I shouldn't have to find out about $1,000 birthday dinners by overhearing phone calls. I shouldn't have to discover that my wife is lying to her family about needing emergency money. And I definitely shouldn't have to live in my own house like a stranger because my wife thinks the silent treatment is an appropriate response to adult conversation." She opened her mouth to respond, then stopped. For a moment, she looked like she was actually considering what I'd said. "Look," she said finally, "maybe we both overreacted. But this has gone far enough. We can't keep living like this." "You're right," I said. "We can't." "Good. So we'll put this behind us and move forward." "That's not what I meant." The look on her face told me she was starting to understand. This wasn't going to be as easy to fix as she thought. Thursday night, she tried a different approach. I was watching TV when she came downstairs wearing the dress she knew I liked, carrying 2 glasses of wine. "Peace offering?" she said, sitting next to me on the couch. "Depends on what kind of peace you're looking for." She handed me a glass. "The kind where we stop this nonsense and go back to being married." "This nonsense? Is that what you're calling 3 weeks of silent treatment and lying to your family about emergency money?" "Okay, fine. Maybe I handled things badly, but you're not exactly innocent here either." I took a sip of wine and waited. "You embarrassed me in front of my entire family. You made me look like a fool at my own birthday party. I didn't make you look like anything. You planned a party without including your husband, then had to explain why he wasn't there. That embarrassment was entirely self-inflicted. Whatever. The point is, we both made mistakes. Now we move past it. Just like that. Just like that. We're adults. We can get over this." I set down my wine glass. "Here's the thing. I don't think we can just get over this. Because this isn't really about money or birthday parties. It's about respect. I respect you. No, you don't. You think respect means I should quietly accept whatever behavior you dish out, and then pretend nothing happened when you decide it's convenient to make up." She shifted uncomfortably. "That's not fair. 3 weeks ago, I tried to have a conversation about our finances. Instead of discussing it like adults, you exploded and then refused to speak to me for 2 weeks. When that didn't work, you planned an expensive party and assumed I'd show up to pay for it. When I didn't, you lied to your family about why. When your family started asking questions, you tried to borrow money from your brother using a fake story. And now that all of that is blown up in your face, you want to pretend none of it happened. So what are you saying? I'm saying this pattern isn't sustainable. You can't treat me like garbage until you need something, then flip a switch and expect everything to be fine." She was quiet for a moment. "So what do you want? An apology? I want you to understand that actions have consequences. And the consequence of treating your husband like he doesn't exist is that eventually, he starts considering whether he actually wants to exist in this marriage." That got her attention. What does that mean? It means I've spent 3 weeks thinking about what I actually want out of life. And being ignored in my own house, isn't it? Are you threatening me? I'm not threatening anything. I'm explaining reality. You wanted to know what happens when you push someone too far? This is what happens. She stood up abruptly. Fine. You want to throw away 8 years of marriage over a stupid fight about money? That's your choice. But don't expect me to beg. I'm not expecting you to do anything. That's been pretty clear for the past 3 weeks. You know what? Maybe you're right. Maybe we should take a break. Give each other some space to think. Where exactly are you planning to go? She paused. I'll figure something out. Your parents' house? Your brother's? A hotel? Because those all cost money, and according to your recent credit card statements, you're pretty comfortable spending it. I have my own money. Do you? Because 3 days ago you were asking your brother for $1,500 for a fake car emergency. Her face flushed again. I don't need this. I don't need you monitoring my spending and throwing it in my face every time we disagree about something. Then leave. The words hung in the air between us. She stared at me like I'd slapped her. What? You heard me. If you don't like having an adult conversation about finances, if you don't like being held accountable for lying to your family, if you think the silent treatment is an appropriate way to handle disagreements, then leave. Go find someone who's okay with that behavior. You don't mean that. Try me. She stood there for a long moment, clearly expecting me to backtrack or soften the statement. When I didn't, something shifted in her expression. You'll regret this, she said finally. The only thing I regret is letting it go on this long. Fine. Maybe I will leave. And when I do, don't come crawling back when you realize what you've lost. I already know what I've lost. 3 weeks of peace and quiet, followed by drama, manipulation, and financial dishonesty. I think I'll manage. She stormed upstairs. I heard drawers slamming, closet doors banging. But an hour later, the noise stopped. And when I went to bed, she was still there. Because here's what she was finally starting to understand. Threatening to leave only works if the other person is afraid of losing you. And after 3 weeks of being treated like I didn't exist, I was beginning to realize that losing her might not be the worst thing that could happen to me. Friday morning, she was gone when I woke up. No note, no text, nothing. I found out where she went when her mother called that afternoon. She showed up at our house last night with 2 suitcases, she said, crying about how you kicked her out and won't let her come home. Interesting version of events, I said. What did you tell her? I told her that marriages don't work when one person gives the other person the silent treatment for weeks. And I told her that lying to family about needing emergency money was unacceptable. How did that go over? Not well. She accused me of taking your side. Said I was supposed to support my daughter unconditionally. And what did you say to that? I told her that supporting someone doesn't mean enabling bad behavior. That if she wants to act like a teenager, she can expect to be treated like one. I had to smile at that. She's lucky to have parents who still believe in accountability. Well, she doesn't see it that way. She's been calling her friends all morning, trying to find someone to take her side. From what I can hear, it's not going well. What do you mean? Apparently, her friend group isn't as sympathetic as she expected. One of them pointed out that giving your husband the silent treatment for 3 weeks isn't normal. Another one said she'd be furious if her husband planned expensive dinners without discussing it first. Really? She hung up on 2 of them. The third one, the one who usually enables her shopping sprees, told her maybe she should consider marriage counseling. That must have been a wake-up call. You'd think so, but instead of reflecting on her behavior, she's doubling down. Says everyone's being unfair to her, that no one understands how controlling you are. Of course she is. There's something else, her mother said. Her father and I had a long talk last night. We've decided we're not going to support this tantrum financially. She can stay here for a few days, but if she wants to make this separation permanent, she'll need to figure out her own living situation. That seems fair. We love our daughter, but we didn't raise her to treat marriage like a game. And frankly, we're embarrassed by her behavior. Saturday passed quietly. No calls, no texts, no drama. I cleaned the house, did some yard work, and enjoyed the peace. Sunday was more of the same. Monday morning, her brother called. She asked me to be an intermediary, he said. Wants to know if you're willing to work things out. What did you tell her? I told her that's not how this works. That if she wants to save her marriage, she needs to have that conversation herself. Like an adult. And how did she react to that? She said you won't listen to her. that you've already made up your mind. She's right about one thing. I have made up my mind, but not about ending the marriage. I've made up my mind about what I will and won't accept going forward, which is no more silent treatment, no more financial dishonesty, no more lying to family members, and definitely no more planning expensive events and assuming I'll just go along with it. That sounds reasonable to me. The question is whether it sounds reasonable to her. Tuesday afternoon, she came home. I was working in my office when I heard her car in the driveway. She walked in carrying the same 2 suitcases she'd left with. "We need to talk," she said, standing in the doorway. "Okay. I've been thinking about what you said, about respect and consequences." I waited. Maybe I did handle things badly. Maybe the silent treatment wasn't the right way to deal with our disagreement. Maybe. Okay, it wasn't. It wasn't fair to you, and it wasn't fair to my family when they got dragged into it. What else? The money thing. I shouldn't have lied to my brother about the car, and I should have talked to you before planning the birthday dinner. And I'm sorry. I'm sorry for all of it. I looked at her for a long moment. Do you know why I missed your birthday dinner? Because you were angry about the silent treatment. No, I missed it because I realized that showing up would have sent the wrong message. It would have told you that you could treat me however you wanted, and I'd still be there when you needed something. That's not a marriage. That's a one-sided relationship with a doormat. She flinched at that. The question now, I continued, is whether you actually understand that, or whether you're just saying what you think I want to hear so things can go back to the way they were. I understand it. Do you? Because if this happens again, if you decide to punish me with silence the next time we disagree about something, I won't be here when you decide you're ready to talk. It won't happen again. Good. Because I meant what I said. I'd rather be alone than be ignored in my own house. She set down her suitcases. So we're okay? We're starting over. But this time, we're doing it with clear expectations. No silent treatment. No financial surprises. No lying to family. And if you have a problem with something I do or say, you use your words like an adult. I can do that. We'll see. Because here's what I learned during those 3 weeks. Respect isn't something you can demand. It's something you earn by refusing to accept anything less. And sometimes, the best way to save a marriage is to be willing to lose it. The woman who came home wasn't the same one who had left. She'd spent 4 days in her childhood bedroom, listening to her parents explain why her behavior was unacceptable. She'd called friends expecting sympathy and gotten reality checks instead. She tried to find someone to blame me and discovered that most people thought giving your spouse the silent treatment for 3 weeks was ridiculous. Most importantly, she learned that threatening to leave someone who's already considered what life would be like without you isn't much of a threat at all. We're 6 months past that birthday dinner now. We still disagree about things, but we talk about them. We work through them. And when she gets frustrated, she uses words instead of silence. Because she finally understands that marriage isn't a game where the person who cares less wins. It's a partnership where both people choose to show up every day with respect and honesty. And if they don't, well, then it's not really a marriage worth saving anyway.